Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, my name is Abdurrahman Umair bin Cikgu Ramlan, and today I'm about to present to you all about one of the topic from chapter 8 is Gymnosperms. Okay, so basically Gymnosperm, the word gymnosperm comes from the Greek word gymnos, which is naked, and sperma, which is seed, hence known as naked seeds. Gymnosperms belong to kingdom Plantae and subkingdom Embryophyta. Gymnosperms are plants in which the ovules are not enclosed within the ovary wall. It remains exposed before and after fertilization and before developing into a seed. The stem of gymnosperms can be branched or unbranched. The family of gymnosperms consists of conifers, the cycads, the gnatophytes, and the species of Gingophyta. So we move on to characteristic of gymnosperms. So the first one is seeds from outside a fruit, usually found in colder region. They form cones with reproductive structures. They develop needle-like leaves, and they also do not produce flowers. So what you're about to look at is taxonomy chart for gymnosperms. So as you can see on the top middle is Eukarya, which is the domain. So from the domain here, Eukarya, it produces three types of kingdom: fungi, Plantae, and animalia. So we're about to focusing on kingdom Plantae, and kingdom Plantae divide into two types, which is cryptogame and phanerogame. So want to look at phanerogame here, and phanerogame here divides into two phylums, which is gymnosperms and angiosperms. So we're about to look at and focusing at gymnosperms. So gymnosperms divides into four major divisions, with each Coniferae, Saccharophyta, and Gingophyta, and Gnatophyta. So for Coniferae, they divides into four classes, which is Taxopsida, Pinopsida, Chordopsida, Coneropsida, and we're about to focusing on Pinopsida, which is one of the class. So it divides into two order, which is Taxellus and Pinellus. So we move to Saccharophyta, and it produces one Saccharopsida, and from the Saccharopsida it divides into two order, which is Saccharollus and Medullosellus. So next we follow Gingophyta, and divides into one also, which is Gingopsida, and the final product is Gingoales, which is the order for the Gingophyta. So and lastly Gnatophyta, and it produce one class, which is Gnatopsida, and from that one class it divides into three order, which is Gnatales, Welwitschales, and Ephedrales. Okay, so as you know that gymnophytes have four major division, which is Coniferophytes, Saccharophytes, Gingophytes, and Gnatophytes. So we're about to talk about the four major division. So let's take a look at one by one. So we want to start with conifers. So conifers, these are the most commonly known species among the gymnosperm family. They are evergreen, hence they do not shed their leaves in the winter. These are mainly characterized by male and female cones, which form needle-like structures. Coniferous trees are usually found in temperate zones, where the average temperature is 10 degrees Celsius. Giant sequoia, pines, cedar, and redwood are one of the many examples of conifers. So what you're about to look at this is one of the species from conifers, which is Taxus brevifolia. So with the cones here, the red one, so that is conifers. So next we want to talk about cycads. So basically cycads are seed-bearing plants where the majority of the members are now extinct. These plants usually have large compound leaves, thick trunks, and small leaflets which are attached to a single central stem. They range in height anywhere between a few centimeters to several meters. Cycads are usually found in the tropics and subtropics, and some members have adapted to dry arid conditions, and some also have adapted to oxygen-poor, swampy environment. So we take a look at one of the species from cycad, which is Cycas revoluto. So here's the picture of it. So okay, now we proceed to the next one is Jingo. So Jingo is another class of Gymnosperms. Gingophyta has only one living species. All other members of this class are now extinct. The Jingo trees are characterized by their large size and their fan-like leaves. Jingo trees have a large number of applications ranging from medicine to cooking. Jingo leaves are ingested as a remedy for memory-related disorders like Alzheimer's. Jingo trees are also very resistant to pollution, and they are resilient against diseases and insect infestations. So let's look at the picture of one of the species of Jingo, which is Ginkgo biloba. So as you can see in the middle, they have green leaves, and on the left side they have Ginkgo biloba in yellow leaves, and on the right side is it's green color also, but it's different. Yeah, it's just the same as the middle but in different lighting. So just take a look, and okay, now we proceed to the next one is Gnetophyte. So Gnetophytes are also relics from the past. Today, only 3 members of the genus exist. Gnetophytes usually consist of tropical plants, trees, and shrubs. They are characterized by flowery leaves that have a soft coating. This coating reveals as an ancestral connection with the Gymnosperms. Gnetophytes differ from other members of this class as they possess vessel elements in their xylem. So we take a look, which is one of the species from Gnetophytes, which is Gnetum africanum. So on the left side, you're able to see the fresh leaves of Gnetum africanum, and on the right side, which is dried leaves of Gnetum africanum. So we move to the applications of Gymnosperms. So there are so many applications that we can use from Gymnosperms. Okay, we take a look for the first one is conifer bark is commonly used as an element in the leather tanning industry. Conifers are used most often in reforestation projects due to their vigorous reproduction. Some type of spruce woods are used to make musical instruments. Conifers are also used to make pencils. Roasted pine seeds are used as a garnish on bakeries. Conifer sap is usually milked from the trees to provide useful gums or resins. And lastly, conifers are used to provide natural scent for essential oil. So next, we want to move to procedure to make one of the application that we stated previously here, which is the last point. Conifers are used to provide natural scent for essential oil. So here is the procedure of making essential oil from conifers. So we take one of the species from conifers, which is Juniperus communis L. So let's start. So firstly, harvest fresh pine tree needles from the pine tree of your choice. Clean the pine tree needles with warm water and mild detergent soap to remove any contaminants that may be on the surface. To clean your needles, fill a container or your sink with warm and salty water. Place the needles into the sink and gently swish around to remove any dirt. Drain the water and rinse the needles well with clean water. Place the pine needles into a mortar and pestle and gently bruise the leaves. Pour sweet almond oil into a large-mouthed glass jar, and after that, add all the pine needles to the jar. Cap the jar tightly and gently shake to coat the pine needles with the sweet almond oil. Store the jar out of the direct sunlight in a warm room with an ambient temperature of at least 21 degrees Celsius. Shake the jar at least once a day for a week at minimum. After 1 week, store the jar in a dark location and allow the pine tree essential oil to age for 10 to 14 days. So, and please, don't shake the jar during this period. It will spoil everything, okay? So, after that, remove from the dark location, shake and strain the oil through a piece of cheesecloth or a fine mesh cotton gauze. Squeeze the gauze to drain out as much of the pine tree essential oil as possible. And finally, store your homemade pine tree essential oil in a dark bottle with an airtight lid to help it remain as fresh as possible. So now we have our final product. Okay. So we move to the last section, which is Islamic perspective of gymnosperms. So take a look at the first ayah. So a'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. ينبت لكم به الزرع والزيتون والنخيل والأعناب ومن كل الثمرات إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون. With it, he produces for you various crops, olives, palm trees, grapevines, and every type of fruit. Surely, in this is a sign for those who reflect. So next one. وَنَزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً مُبَارَكًا فَأَنْبَتْنَا بِهِ جَنَّاتٍ وَحَبَّ الْحَصِيدِ. And we send down blessed rain from the sky, bringing forth gardens and grains for harvest. وَشَجَرَةً تَخْرُجُ مِنْ تُورِ سَيْنَاءَ تَنْبُتُ بِالدُّهْنِ وَصِبْغٍ لِلْآكِلِينَ. As well as olive trees which grow at Mount Sinai, providing oil and a condiment to seal. So from this ayah, we know that we should be thankful and we should be grateful to Allah for providing us these beautiful trees and beautiful creations that we can provide them to our good use and for our daily life, which is we can provide the trees for medicine, we can provide the trees for our food, for garnish, for anything and so on. Okay, so with his beautiful creations, we are able to live and we're able to live with the trees and we are able to live until now. Okay, so these are the reference that I got for all the information that I taught to you. So I think that's all I can share to you and from my partner Shafiq. Thank you for working very hard with me and to all my classmates. Thank you for listening and lending your time to hear our presentation. So I see you around. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.